2 Thessalonians 2:3 says this. Yeah, let's go to a black screen maybe. Let no one deceive you by any means. For that day will not come unless the falling away, talking about the last day, the day when Jesus comes on the clouds. That will not come unless first there's a falling away that happens, and the man of sin is revealed, the son of perdition. This is a title given to the Antichrist, who's going to come on the scene on the last days. Now, if you want more about that, you can go to our website, wtwesley.com, go to the resources page, and then go to, on our YouTube there, or go to sermons, and then look through our playlist. You'll find this sermon series I did last year, I think called The End of the Age. And so if you want to know more about that, we took a whole trip through Revelation. If you want to know more about that whole thing, you can do that. But in any case, that aside, we're talking about the Antichrist coming onto the scene in the end days. But first, there's going to be what? Anybody remember? Falling away. A falling away. And then the Antichrist will come forward. All right, now, that has to come first. Verse 6. And now you know what is restraining. There is something restraining this man of sin, this son of perdition, from coming forward. And now you know what is restraining, that he, the Antichrist, might be revealed in his own time. For the mystery of lawlessness is already at work, and only so this is already going on. There's already forces moving. Darkness is already trying to move in on the earth at this time. But then it says, he who restrains now will do so until he, capital H, is taken out of the way. Who is he? Who is he that's taken out of the way? It's a capital H, right? So it's got to be God, right? So evil, you guys with me? Is trying to push its way forward. And there's something that's holding him back, like this holy dam saying to the water, you can only go this far. You can't come any further. And then somehow God is going to be taken out of the way. Well, how could God be taken out of the way? If he's omnipresent, if he's omnipowerful, omnipotent, how could he be taken out of the way? Well, let's ask this. How is he working today? Let's look at 1 Corinthians 6:19. Do you not know that your body is what? The temple of the Holy Spirit. Your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit who is inside of you. So instead of God, Jesus gave us the baton, and then he empowered us. We talked about this back in the Marvel Marathon, with the power to do the job that he's calling us to do. And now the Holy Spirit, his way that he's working in the world today is through the church. Now he can work independently through visions and dreams and stuff like that. But the primary way that it says in Corinthians or Colossians and other places is that God chooses to work through us. The Holy Spirit is inside of us, and now we go into all the world to make disciples, right? And in the same sense, we go and we withhold, we restrain using the power of God in us to restrain the enemy from coming forth. Is there something weird going on with my mic? It's like, whoa, whoa. Okay, cool. All right. So, 2 Thessalonians says that God inside of us, is going to restrain until he is taken out of the way. My question is, how can God be taken out of the way? At some point, we are taken out of the way. Well, it does say that there's going to be a great falling away, where many Christians will fall away from the faith, and the less Christians there are to hold back, more evil can come in. When there's a strong presence of Christians and strong presence of prayer, then we restrain it, you know. People call it the Bible Belt, and they laugh about it. But that means there's a bunch of Christians that still care about God and his ways, and we restrain, you know, the ways of evil and stuff like that. Does that make sense? And so he's taken out of the way. So somehow God's taken out of the way through us. The holy dam is moved, and the water comes forward onto the earth. The church and the saints are taken out of the way. We are the force that stands between hell and the world, and we say, you can go no further, devil. We must hold the lines against the hordes of hell, because we are the ones that stand between the devil and the souls that he longs to devour, and we're set over our dead body. we, like the Avengers, are too powerful to defeat. Think about these guys. I mean, think about them. How powerful each one of them is. It's almost hard to say which one's your favorite. Everyone kind of has a favorite, but like, which one's the most powerful? Well, my son, I just got him the little Legos video game, the Avengers Lego video game. And it's like, sometimes the Hulk is who you need, but sometimes you need Captain America, and sometimes you need Iron Man. Like, you got to have all of them for this thing to work, right? Someone say, I know where we're going. The Avengers are too powerful to defeat. I mean, look at the diversity. Yeah, I mean, you can throw a rock and hit a genius in that circle somewhere. I mean, you've got how many geniuses? You got Tony Stark, Bruce Banner, Peter Parker, Ant-Man. You can throw a rock and you hit a genius somewhere. It's like, how are so many geniuses in one place at one time? And so if I am Loki and I'm like, I need Midgard, I need Earth, I'm going to destroy Earth, I have to somehow destroy the Avengers, the gatekeepers. I've got to stop them before I can go into the earth, because they're the thing that stand between me and that football. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've got to, they're the line. They're holding me back. And so if I'm Loki, I've got to find a way to defeat them so that I can get to the earth. And the only way for Loki to have his way with the earth is to take out those who restrain him, the Avengers. And there is only one way to take out the Avengers. They're too powerful. I mean, Hulk just like throws him around like a rag doll. They're too powerful to beat from the outside. So what's interesting is they get divided in all 3 movies that they're together in. Isn't this crazy? It's like by the 3rd movie, by the time we get to Civil War, shouldn't we be together by now? Right? They get divided. And so divide and conquer. The ancient technique to destroy your enemy is to divide and conquer. If you can't beat them from the outside, you got to put some kind of seed of discord in the middle of them and let them explode themselves, and then you can run right over them. And that's exactly what happens, and it works every time. Every time they're together, they totally bust out. You don't believe me? All right, let's go look at it. Okay. In Avengers, the great deceiver gets up into their mind through the Mind Stone. And here they are talking, and then they begin to blame each other, and they're judging another. This is the first time that they meet, by the way, all together. This is the first time, like, I've heard about you. Yeah, I've heard about you. This is like one denomination looking at another denomination, be like, yeah, I know what your theology is all about. No, I know what you are. Yeah, you're the weird people. Oh, wait, you're the holy people. Oh, wait, you're the guys that go out and drink. Oh, you're the guys that go out and do this. Oh, you're the guys with the perfect theology. Oh, you're the guys with the best worship band. Whatever, or we're the ones with the best worship band. Oh, we're the ones focused on missions. Oh, we're the ones we're theologically correct. Oh, we're the servant-hearted. Yeah, that's what matters. Well, we're the most diverse. We have all the different colors up in here, and we're the most loving, and that's what really matters. And they're sitting here around this Mind Stone, and Loki or the devil or whatever you want to call it, through this Mind Stone, getting up inside their head, making division. And before long, you see Bruce Banner, the guy who doesn't need to be holding that thing, and just about, and he doesn't even know he's holding it. He doesn't even know. This is like when we get divided from other ministries. Each ministry has a strength, is great at something, is focused in one area or another, but you can't put Iron Man's armor on the Hulk. It doesn't fit, right? Every ministry has its focus, and we got to quit trying to be other ministries, and other ministries got to quit trying to be us. Amen? We have to embrace our differences, because here, they just get divided. And what happens? The whole thing falls apart. And then the sky opens up, and now all these aliens, the enemies, coming in like a flood, rushing into the earth to destroy, to do exactly what Loki planned to do all along. But as Hillary Clinton once said, we're stronger together. Here's a Republican saying, hey, Hillary got a good point here. We're stronger together. I like it better to say, we better together. Someone say, we better together. See, I just think that rolls a little bit better. She should have said, we better together. We better together. Someone say, we better together. Now, let me just unpack something for you, because Loki is smart. Loki knows how. He's 5 moves ahead of you, and he's trying to play with your minds and get you divided and get you ineffective. Our goal is to make disciples for the transformation of the world, right? His desire is to stop that from happening, to destroy us, to divide us, so that he can run roughshod right over us. So let's talk about what together is not. Together does not mean that we're all in the same room all the time, playing Kumbaya, singing Kumbaya in a holy huddle. Amen? Let me tell you something cool. It's happening right now. While we're all meeting here, the BSM is meeting all over campus in small groups. They're reaching people that we can't reach. And then on Thursday night, we're reaching people all over the dorms and all over the place while they're worshiping with other people. We're reaching a whole different segment of people that maybe they don't feel called to us, but they feel at home there, right? So together we're better, right? But together doesn't mean that we're in the same room. It means that our hearts are unified. Did you know that me and Bo right now, we are one. We are unified right now. He's hundreds of miles away, or I don't know how many miles away. Tens of miles away. We could go a year without talking, and as soon as we meet together, because our hearts are together, we are together. But yet, me and you could be in this same room right now, and if we're not together in our hearts, we could be standing right next to each other, and we are not together. Together means more than space, than being in the same room and worshiping the exact same way and doing the same thing. I want you to think about all the candies. If you go into Pack-a-Sack, right, and you go down, you got candies on both aisles. You got Snickers, and you got Twix, and you got Skittles, and you got Sour Patch Kids. Now, Loki would make you feel like you're not very holy because you're like, those are all separated. Skittles should be with the Snickers. And the Sour Patch Kids should be in there too. You know what we need to do? We need to go open up all the packages all the way down the aisles. We need to take all that candy and we need to mix it all together. And hey, we don't want to leave out the mayonnaise because that's food. That's food too. So mustard, we don't want to let mustard fill out. And before long, what do you have? You have a whole bunch of nothing. We have a pile of brown something. So together does not mean that we are in the same room. It means that we have the same heart. Now, let me just explain it like this. I have students come up to me all the time, going, choom, choom. It's like, no, we're going here. This is our path right here. They're like, why can't we all be just together all the time every week and blah, 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 blah. And it sounds good, right? I mean, that sounds right. That would sound like a good thing, right? And that's good for us to do every now and then. And they say, why can't we do that? Why can't we do that? I want you to think about it like this. The 5 ministries on campus are like the 5 branches of the military. You got the Army, the Navy, the Coast Guard, the Air Force, and the Marines, right? You got all 5 of these. Now, you can't go in and go to the Marines, and enroll here, but I also want to be a part of the Coast Guard, Mikey, because I like water. And because of that, I'm going to go be then part of the SEAL team. I want to be a part of SEAL Team 6. And then SEAL Team 6 calls you up like, hey, we got a mission. You're like, oh, sorry, I got to go over here with the Army. And so you're spreading yourself out. A lot of yourself everywhere means that, or a little of yourself everywhere means a lot of yourself is nowhere. That's why the vision, not division, the vision, the one vision, die means 2, the vision, not 2 visions. Got it? Okay. All right, you following me there? Wasn't planning on going there, that's where I went. The vision is that every group grows, right? Okay, think about like a tree, right? It's all growing simultaneously. So if the BSM is growing, we're winning. And if the Church of Christ is growing, we're winning. And if we're growing, we're winning. And if the navigators are growing, we're winning. It's like this tree growing all at the same time, stretching its branches as far out to reach as much surface area as possible, to reach as many lives and as diverse of a population as possible. Unity, if you're taking notes, is not uniformity. Unity is not uniformity. Uniformity means we dress the same, we look the same, we act the same, we talk the same, everything's the same, and that gets creepy. If we are clones of each other, so guys, if you're clones of each other, quit doing that. That's creepy, okay? Unity is not uniformity. I also want you to think about like an orchestra. An orchestra, we don't go to an orchestra. Have you ever been to an orchestra, like an orchestra, what do you call it? A symphony? Symphony? Yes, a symphony. Where the orchestra is playing. Yes, a symphony. Also a good chocolate. Whenever they're tuning up, it sounds horrible. Have you ever been to one? Have you ever heard one? Sounds horrible. Squawking. The guy gets up with the white gloves, pulls up the little stick, and then boom, it's one. But guess what? They're not playing in unison. They're playing in harmony. Each instrument, each instrument is playing something. They're not playing the same notes, but they're playing the same song. We're all under Jesus Christ. We're all playing the same song, but we have different ways that we're going about doing this, right? We can't wear Saul's armor. Hulk can't wear Iron Man's armor. We got to be yourself, amen? And us as ourself, right? So unity is not uniformity. Like an orchestra, this is what we call unity in diversity. Unity in diversity. We go to concerts to enjoy their harmony, not their unison. All right? So think about this. If I'm Loki, I'm going to try to make you guilty. If you're here, you should be there. And if you're there, you should be there. And if you're there, you should be there. And you're always feeling like guilty because we should all be all together all the time. So all of us, tomorrow, we get up and we go to the BSM lunch. And now there's no seats and there's no room for the lost, for people who don't know Jesus. We have now taken up their seats. Their leaders are having to placate us to make us feel welcome. And yeah, we got this great holy huddle, and we're all surrounding each other, like this, but the outsiders are out there. Unity is more like BSM, Church of Christ, Navigators, Catholic Student Center, and us, back to back, trusting our back because our hearts are together. Back to back saying, hey, you're doing a good job over there. Cool. All right, you're doing a great job over there. Awesome. And we stay focused on where we're going. Does that make sense? That's unity. So if I'm Loki, I'm going to try to be like, all Christians, just get in the same room and just go off over there and stay in the four walls of the church and don't go out and I'll let you keep all of you that are Christians, you just stay over there, but stay away from the lost and do not advance the kingdom of God. And just stay over there and be distracted so that I can just sneak in and just on the world. But no, we are soldiers of Christ, amen? The Bible calls us soldiers, be good soldiers of Christ. So we're back to back. And there's people that BSM can reach that we can't reach, and Church of Christ can reach that we can't reach, and there's people we can reach that they can't reach. We all have our specialties. So let's put that aside. Okay, so that's like that. That's the first movie. That's the Avengers. Then we come to Age of Ultron. And this is where I want to spend some time. The enemy uses the Scarlet Witch. You remember the Scarlet Witch when she was still a bad guy? She does this thing. She's a gypsy. And she gets up inside everybody's heads, and what does she do? She uses their fears. She doesn't know what their fears are, but this power she has gets inside their head, and it taps into their most fundamental fear, and we watch this whole dream sequence of all these characters. Now, they are unified. They're taking out Hydra. Now the bad guy's Hydra. All right? The bad guy switches from movie to movie, but the idea stays the same. Divide and conquer, divide and conquer. They're too powerful together. We can't let them stay together. So she gets up in their head, plays on their most deep fears. They all have these visions that play on their fears. Black Widow has this vision of the ballerinas. You guys remember this? Has a vision of the ballerinas, and you're pushing them too hard. You're pushing them too hard. They're going to break, and then there's this guy with a bag over his head, and she has to shoot him, and it starts out with just a target, and she gets better and better at the target, and then all of a sudden there's a person sitting there with a bag over his head, and she's got to shoot this person, and this is all of her secret. This is what keeps her away from the Avengers the whole time. She always seems a little bit apart from the group, right? Because she feels like she can't ever fit in with these huge, awesome heroes. These heroes are too good for me. If they knew what I had done, they wouldn't let me be a part of their group. I just have to hide that piece of myself. If they knew who I was, if Mikey knew who I was, if they knew what I did, even since coming to Two Posts, I love God, but I do these things over here. If they knew who I was, it won't happen. I'm too dirty. I'm unworthy. My past mistakes. The Black Widow is a key component to the Avengers. In fact, she's the only one that can transform the Hulk back into David Banner, or Bruce Banner. Yeah, Bruce Banner. David Banner is Lou Ferrigno. Don't worry about it. It's okay. It's from the 70s. It doesn't matter. Because Iron Man tries to transform him back, and he gets in the Hulk Buster, and that just screws everything up. And so, strength doesn't work, but for whatever reason, Black Widow, her strength is to be able to get him calmed down, and she does all kinds of other things. She even gets inside Loki's head, who Loki's the great manipulator. She manipulates him. Anyway, that's pretty cool. Thor, we come to his scene, and all of a sudden he's like walking into Asgard, and everybody's partying and drinking and having a great time, and Asgard is just great as it always was, and all of a sudden everybody starts decaying and turning dead. And Hondo or whatever his name is, he's like, what's wrong with your eyes? And Hondo's like, we're all dead because you weren't here. And now think about it. As the enemy, Thor has like amazing powers. Like we cannot do anything with this guy around, right? Like him and the Hulk, I mean, when you talk about just sheer strength, we've got to get these two out of the way. So we can trigger Hulk and he'll go off into the town and mess around or whatever. But Thor, he's cognizant while he's fighting. So we have to do something to get him out of the game, right? We got to get him neutralized. We get him neutralized by getting him out of here. Let's make something important for him to fight over here. So let's get him off the path, Luke, of your training in Dagobah. Don't finish your training. Just go off and fight Darth Vader because your friends are in trouble. You guys don't follow. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway. And Yoda's yelling, continue your training. But no, there's something more important somewhere else. Hey, listen, guys, Asgard's in trouble. Listen, you guys got this. You got this. I got to go where I'm needed. I'm needed over here. This is a classic case of the good versus the great. You know what? The greatest enemy to the best in your life is the good. Because good might be good enough, and you'll never find the best that God has for you, right? So this is a classic case of the good versus the great. Yeah, bad things are happening in Asgard, but but we need you, Thor, right here to fight. We'll get there in a second. The good versus the great. Mikey, I have to go back to my party friends. All this is great here, and this is awesome, and I gotta go back to them. I know I don't have any Christians to go with me, and I know I'm gonna be alone out there, but man, they're lost. If I don't do something, I gotta go. But you gotta finish your training. No, I gotta go. I'm needed out there. Oh, but if I don't stay with him, he'll fall away from Christ. If I don't stay with him, he's not going to come back to the Wesley. He's going to go out and do bad things, so I have to keep dating him, or else he will. I have to stay with her. If I do, I just know if I stay with her, she'll find friends that are girls in the Westland, and then she'll connect, and then she'll be okay. I'm needed. I got a hero complex. If I leave school and go back to my hometown, I can take this message back home. I've got all the tools I need. I can go and do this. Or this other church doesn't have a youth program, and Mikey, look, I mean, we got like 177 people up in here, so you guys are fine. I'm going to go start this youth program over here, and he takes Thor out of the battle. Or what about Tony Stark? Tony Stark, at the very beginning of the movie, he starts to see all this crazy stuff, and he's out in space. He may be seeing the future, like the Infinity Wars. We're not sure yet. And everyone is dead. Captain America's shield is broken. Everyone's laying dead. The Hulk has all these spears in him, and Captain America comes alive and says, "You could have saved us." And then he dies. And this sends Tony Stark into a spiral, causing him to create an Ultron. Ultron is symbolic of our attempts to stop bad things from happening in our own strength. If this is to be, it's up to me. I have to do something. I will never be weak again. I will never let the world be unprotected again. I don't have enough of me to go around, so I'm going to create. I'm going to force something to happen that is not of God's plan. I'm going to make it happen so that it will happen. This is Tony Stark. You don't do enough, he hears. And in an attempt to stop bad things from happening, because he leans on himself instead of on others, and instead of the wisdom of the others, he creates the very thing that almost takes out the very ones that he's trying to protect. Someone say, we going somewhere. If I just had more one-on-ones, if I've got to be everywhere. There's too many freshmen that need to be connected. If they could just get, if I have to save the world, and I'll stay up all night until it happens, and in that burnout, you end up snapping at your friends and destroying the relationships that you're trying to protect and help. Seeing the evil of the world, as Tony has seen it, it changes you. Amen? So some of you guys have been a part of this thing for a while, and it's like you've seen the depravity of humanity, right? You've seen the darkness of evil. You've seen your best friend doing great, and then get that boyfriend, and you're like, oh, maybe if I would have just, she would have stayed. You see that guy that had so much potential and got distracted, and you're like, oh, but if you, You know what I'm saying? Seeing the evil world is overwhelming, too much almost sometimes. Maybe if I would have just spent more time with that freshman, he wouldn't have gone into the party scene. Or if I could have done one more lunch meeting with, then if maybe I've been at every fifth quarter, I know that my friend would have been welcome, but they showed up, and I was tired. I didn't show up that night, and they came, and no one said hi to them, and so they left, and now they're done with the Wesley, and they're done with church, because the Wesley was kind of like their view of what church was all about, and they're like, I'm not about this kind of thing, and if I would have just been there, even though I needed a break. I have to remember everyone's name. If I don't remember their name, then I have to be at every motivational Monday. I have to be at every prayer time. I have to be at every fifth quarter. I have to go on every trip, everything, or I have to do more. How about Captain America? Captain America sees a vision of all the people that he knew back in the 40s, back in World War II. And he dances with the love of his life back there behind him, his girlfriend at the time, and then they all disappear, leaving him alone on the dance floor, all alone. His greatest fear was being alone. And the people who were with him when he was a freshman have all graduated. And he looks around, and the strong sophomores and the juniors and the seniors that made up the Wesley with this great thing that it was whenever he came in to the Wesley are all graduated now. They're all alumni, and they're all gone. My friends have graduated. Maybe I'm not supposed to be here anymore. Maybe I don't belong here anymore. Why am I still here? Maybe I'm the one that's out of place. I'm the one that's out of time. And if everyone believes these fears, who put these fears in their heads in the first place? Is this of God? Is this of their team? No, but if they fall to these fears, think about it. If all of them fell to these fears and stayed with these fears, Thor goes off to Asgard. Hulk gets triggered and just goes and destroys the city. Stark tries to hold the whole thing together and make it all happen. He ends up creating the very bad guy that almost destroys everybody else. Captain America just loses, his grip of crapper breaks, It gets, if everyone begins to believe these fears, the freshman Black Widow will fade into obscurity and into shame. She won't fill out the leadership application because she doesn't feel like she belongs, because she could never be good enough to fit in with, Turok and Cooper and Daisha and all the, who am I? I'm nobody. I couldn't fit in with that team. The shame. I don't belong with these high-capacity leaders. I'll never measure up. I couldn't measure up to that. It's too big. Who am I? Shame. Or sophomore Thor. He's been around long enough. He knows he's mighty. He knows he has skills that pay the bills. And all these mere mortals, they're so tiny. And I am needed over here, and so I need to go out and find this. I need to go. And he's distracted. He's distracted. Sophomore Thor gets distracted to places that really need him because, after all, the Wesley has enough leaders, and Asgard needs me now. Some church hires him out to start a youth group all by himself, and he knows he can't do both, and so he goes. Junior Tony Stark, he's now a junior, and he hits burnout because he's looking around, and he's getting bitter. Where's all of the other leaders? Where are they? I'm the only one doing anything around here. I show up at all these things, and they're not at all these things. Where is everybody? And he starts getting mad at the other leaders because they're not around. Where are they? Junior Tony Stark, and he starts snapping at people, creating Ultrons to, if you're not going to be there, then I'll create an Ultron. I'll birth an Ishmael. Where is everyone? I guess I'll have to do it myself. And then we come to senior Captain America, apathy, who loses heart and is tempted to quit because, it's just not fun anymore. I've done this before. I've seen the extravaganza before. I've been to the Halloween party before. I've done the fallout. I've done the freshman party. I've done the phalanx retreat 3 times now. And all my friends, all the people I look to, they're gone. And what's the point? I don't even have any friends anymore. Guys, I can't tell you how many times I hear seniors say that. I hear seniors say, I don't even have any friends. Well, those people that were your friends, guess what they did? They had turned around and they had looked down and helped and became friends with you. And so when they leave, if you're just like, where are they? Where are they? Well, you'll find them if you turn around and look down. Amen? To the juniors and sophomores and freshmen below you. Okay. So hear me, freshmen. All of these warriors on the leadership team that you know now, we call it the serve team because we believe that the greatest among them will be the servant of all. Somebody once said that. I think his name was Jesus or something, I don't know, but a very wise man once said, the greatest among them will become the servant of all. That's why we call it the serve team. So it's not about lording over people, it's about serving people. But that's where these mighty warriors come from. All of these mighty warriors on the leadership team were once where you are now. And they've grown tremendously because they're on this team. They weren't, many of them, ready when they got on this team. In fact, there was a girl named Katie Sproul, you might remember her, who was still having trouble deciding whether she was going to be fooling around with her boyfriend or join the Wesley leadership team when my wife began to mentor her. And she became the mighty warrior that she was through that leadership. I mean, I could tell story after story. I could literally look at all the leaders and tell you a story about how God took them. And they were Black Widow. They were like, you wouldn't let me on your team, Mike, if you knew who I was, if you knew what I had done. And so hear me, freshmen, rise up to the challenge. Rise up to the challenge. The people, we're just looking for fat people. That's all we care about. We just want big old fat people. And what we mean by that is we want faithful, available, and teachable. Now, the people that we can work with anything. We can work with anything, but we need fat people. You got to be faithful. You got to say, this is my place. I feel like God is calling me to this place to serve. This is where I am called to be. Faithful, available. I'm not in 15 organizations, have no time. And I'm teachable. Man, what do I need to do to grow in my relationship with God? If you're those things, then you are ready, even if you don't feel like you know enough about the Bible, even if you feel like you've done too many bad things in the past, even if you're wrestling with a current sin. Now, all you have to do is decide this is where I want to be, and we can work with anything else. Amen? Hear me, sophomore. There are so many good things to be involved in. There are so many. There's so many organizations. I can't tell you how many good things there are out there, how many good ministries there are out there. But just like when you marry a woman one day, you're going to stand there and you're going to say, to have and to hold, for sickness and health, to love and to cherish, and forsaking all others, meaning when you choose this one, you're forsaking all other women in the whole world, men, all other men, women. Then this one man, you're forsaking all others. And so in that same way, by choosing this ministry, you're basically forsaking all others in a sense, and you're committing to one. Does that make sense? Why is that okay in marriage? And we think that's not kingdom-minded whenever we do that in the church. But the devil would love to get you spread out over every ministry that there was, every good thing, giving your money to everything that comes across your TV screen, all the different orphans everywhere on the earth and everything like that, and then you have nothing left in your hand. Does that make sense? Sophomore, the secret to concentration is elimination. The secret to concentration is elimination. Many of you are spread out too thin. And the secret to you concentrating your efforts and being powerful is focus. And that means you have to eliminate outside things. So don't be distracted. The secret to concentration is elimination. You guys are a very powerful force. Usually it's the sophomores and the juniors that become the great force behind the Wesley. Because you've been through the freshman stuff, you're trained, you're ready to go. And it's the sophomores and the juniors that really get kicking butt. Then it's the seniors that, if not careful, they're too focused on what's next that they don't finish strong. So, sophomore, hear me. The secret to concentration is elimination, and wherever you be all there. Wherever you be all there. Say that with me. Wherever you be all there. Or you're not going to be effective anywhere. Hear me, juniors. I know you feel like you're holding up the weight of the world, the weight of the Wesley. And hear me thank you for all the time and hard work that you put into this movement. And thank you for putting yourself into it with all of your heart. But if you're getting angry at other people, if you're getting bitter at the other leaders, you have to understand your limitations. You have to understand your limitations. You have to embrace your limitations. You can't be everywhere. There's no reason that we should have an Ultron. That's a fabricated way to try to do something that God never intended you to be able to do. You can't be all things. You have to embrace your limitations. Don't get lazy, but embrace your limitations. Do what only you can do. We may not be able to save the whole world, but we can do what we can do. You can't do more than God has called you to do. There's a reason you can't. Think about that for a second. There's a reason you can't do more than what you think you can do. There's a reason you can't do more than God created you to do, because he didn't create you to do any more than that. You can't physically be everywhere at one time. You can't be everything to everybody, otherwise you would be God. There's a reason for that limitation, and you have to embrace that limitation. Hear me now. Seniors, I know it's tempting to look out there somewhere and to be focused on the future and what's next. But you'll do that at the expense of the now. Now, remember, Captain America's let go, live now. Now that you're a senior and you've been a leader on the Avengers for a while, instead of looking back now, you might be looking too far forward. Live now. Success is not what you're leaving to, but what you're leaving behind. In life, if you constantly leave things better than you got them, if you leave behind you great things, if you invest in people now, and you will leave great memories with them. And if you leave your campsite better than you found it, you will leave behind you a legacy. You will be remembered in a legacy. If you jet too soon, people will just be mad, and they'll be like, oh, who's so-and-so? We don't even know. If you leave your campsite better than you left it, you leave a legacy. Success is succession. Success is you reproducing who you are and leaving something behind before you leave. 2 or 3 of you, hopefully, so we can reach more people and funnel this thing out to the ends of the world. Amen? So, and I'm not going to spend much time on this, but the third time they get divided is in civil war. And strangely enough, it's over politics. Now, these guys have learned to work together 2 other times. They're in a third movie now. This is 6 hours they're working together here, right? Okay, so, and what gets up in between them? Offense. Offense gets up in between them. And instead of learning to disagree agreeably, they almost kill each other. Or just get apathetic and walk away from each other, which is even worse. Offenses almost cause them to kill each other. You know what's more dangerous than any other bad guy that they have faced up to this point in civil war? The greatest bad guy could be themselves against each other. That's the worst. I mean, nobody else could do the damage to one of them that Hulk could do. Nobody could do the damage that Thor could do. If you turn them, these good guys, these great warriors that can't be defeated from the outside but only from the inside, if you turn them on each other, they are their worst enemies. And this is really serious stuff. More dangerous than any bad guy from the outside could ever do to them. Offenses will come. In fact, Luke 17:1 says that it is impossible that no offenses will come. Offenses are going to come at you all the time. The question is, what are you going to do with those offenses? So how do we overcome this division? Remember who's bringing this division. The enemy, his design is to divide you from the others. Take a roaring fire. It's hot. It's like got a lot of wood on there. Flames are like up to the heavens, making great big embers of fire that look awesome when you stare at them for too long. And no matter how hot that fire is, you take that one coal out of the fire and set it over, it's just about 3 or 4 minutes before that thing is cold. For all its light has diminished. So if you can take that fire and just scatter it all over a field, if it doesn't catch on fire, the field, scatter it out, in minutes, that thing that was roaring at one moment can now just be nothing. I see this happen all the time. Call me Nick Fury. I've been doing this for 16 years. And just like a doctor can see the same symptoms over and over and over, I don't even have to tell, I can tell you what's going on. I can tell you what's happening before you even know what's happening. Sometimes I can tell you what's going on in your life because I've seen it so much. And these 4 tricks the devil uses, well, 5, 6 tricks, okay. So if you got the 4 tricks of Ultron, you add Avengers, which is judgment of other ministries, and then you got, the 6th one, which is offense. Those six things, those 6 symptoms, every time. It's like a cat with a laser pointer. You just, every time. Guess what? Look, I could go up to any cat in the whole world, take a laser pointer, he's gone. I can get him to do whatever I want him to do. And here you are getting offended at your friends, following one of these 4 symptoms, or judging another ministry and being divided from them. And it's just like the devil's just Loki sitting there with his laser pointer. Oh, I could just make him do anything I want him to do. I can make him sit, roll down. Look, roll over. And you are being used. Do you like that? Do you like how that feels? You like being used by the devil? I hope not, because we are better together. Amen? So how do we overcome division? And Avengers, when they were being judgmental towards each other and suspicious instead of trusting, they had to embrace their differences. And we have to have unity in diversity. In Age of Ultron, the enemy tried to play on their fears. Fear almost causes them to walk away from the team. They had to embrace their limitations. You know what? I can't, Asgard, but I got to be here. You know what? I know that all the people I used to love is gone, but this is where I got to be. And I know I can't take on the whole world, so I'm just going to take on what I can take on. And maybe I feel like I don't belong with all these people, but I'm going to step into that role. I'm going to put on that cloak. I'm going to put on that robe of righteousness, and I'm just going to be used for God. In Civil War, when they tried to use offenses against them that tore them apart, now it's not even a huge bad guy. It's just this one dude, General Zika or whatever his name, Zima or something like that. Zemo. It's like a drink I used to drink or something. Zima? I don't admit that I used to drink that. You guys don't even know what that is. Anyway, it was a girly drink. It was alcohol. The only way to pull this plane up in Civil War before it nosedives into the ground and destroying everything is they have to forgive. And we see that beautiful scene where the guy who's trying to kill Zemo the whole time for what he's done, Black Panther, sits down next to him, and he could have killed him. Instead, he chooses to forgive him, and that's the ultimate strength. So we have to embrace our differences. We have to embrace our limitations, and we have to forgive. If we let the devil get up in between us, the sky opens up. He who restrains is taken out of the way, and he just comes right into your city and just kills all your villagers. Age of Empires players. All of your villagers, all your farms. You got no soldiers to hold them back. So, worship team, or John, why don't you come on up? Just John and the piano. Guys, we're too powerful together as a team. The devil has to get you out of the way because he knows we're better together. Now, Howard College, just for a moment, during worship I had this vision. I finally understand what it means now. I had a vision, I was holding this, it felt like it was like a big red ember. Now I know it's an ember. I didn't know what it was at first, but it was a big hot rock with black and red, but it was like a big old ember. And I held it in my hand, and I didn't exactly know what that meant. I don't know if God's speaking to you guys about that or not. I don't know. But I feel like God is starting a fire on Howard campus, and I believe that this is a very critical moment for you guys. I feel like tonight is a very critical moment for you guys because this is where you decide. You've been kind of following this thing all year, with Bo, and you're deciding whether you're going to be in or out. And let me just encourage you. You might be the fire that starts that campus ablaze. You might be the fire down in my soul that I can't contain, that I can't control, that God puts inside of you to spread out to that whole campus. So I just want to pour that into you. If that resonates, then let it resonate. Become that fire. Maybe you got a passion for that campus. Maybe you guys have a passion for your campus. Maybe you have a passion for your dorm, but we're better together. Amen? So let's bow our heads for a moment. Here in about, well, at the end of this, I'll tell you how long. Here in just a little while, down in the basement, we're going to have a meeting for anybody who wants to join the leadership team. This Avengers team, as it were, in this parallel. And you say, I want to use my gifts and my abilities for this team.